Hey guys, welcome back to Balls Fan TV. And today we're going to be doing the match preview for our game against St Pats. I'm joined by Keith, Pats fan. How are you?
I'm not too bad, Lenny. How are you getting on? Cheers for having us on.
Yeah, I'm getting on grand. So how have you thought of Pats' start to the season?
Well, the start of the season was great, Lenny. Obviously, the first round of games, unbeaten in the first nine. Unfortunately, they lost their last two, which was the second round of games, the very start. And you're just kind of thinking, you're thinking to yourself, like, after the first defeat, I knew that'd be a test. And I thought to myself, mentally, what way would they be like? But unfortunately, they lost last time at the Drogheda as well. And to be honest, they were beaten impressively, I have to say, which was probably the biggest worry. Against Shamrock Rovers, they were a little unlucky, to be honest. That can happen in a game. But look, I think the Bowls game now, after that start and after losing the last two games, is going to be probably a more difficult game, particularly with the form Bowls have shown in the last 2 weeks, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, Pats started really well. Like,
Mm.
he's looked good. I think for me, it was only a matter of time before Pats kind of got a bit of a run going, had you know, a bit of a kind of push for Europe. Stephen O'Donnell, I think sooner or later I thought it was going to click for him eventually.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's brought in some good players like Matty Smith, Ron Coughlin, players that done well at Sligo and Waterford last year. And you started well, obviously two defeats on the bounce there, which isn't great. I think I had a feeling it kind of wear off a little bit at some stage. They weren't going to go the whole season unbeaten.
No way. That's
Yeah,
always the worry, though, Lenny, as well, that when you do go on a good run, that you don't go on an actual bad run straight away. You were hoping that when they lost the Rovers, they would maybe go and beat Drogheda, let's say, straight away. So that'd be a concern. Like, and obviously now going into Bows, like you're talking about the third match in the new round of fixtures, and like it's always a difficult match against Bowls, to be fair, anyway. But I think it's going to be more difficult this time around. I think the thing with Pats as well over the last few weeks, they picked up a few injuries as well, so their squad is quite thin compared to even Bowls. Bowls have a larger squad than Pats. If I'm honest with you, they've more options off the bench, and that you only see with Bowls full backs, Feely, Lyons, Breslin, and Wilson as an example. Pats have Mountney and Bone can play there, but he's one of the centre backs that plays every week. So you know what I mean. There's a difference there with Pats, I think, and that's been an issue. I know a few players have been playing with Knox and that as well. And Robbie Benson has been a huge loss because Benson he's very good at leading the press. And that kind of thing as well. Obviously, Forrester's been playing brilliant this season. It's great to see him back playing the way he's playing because it's a joy to watch. But no, I'm looking forward to this one.
yeah, yeah. Chris Forrester is a great player. He's one that's definitely going to be a big threat on Friday. Sort of player that we'll have to look out for. But he didn't really perform at his best over the last couple of seasons with Pats. He was struggling a little bit, but I think this season he's really shown what he can do, and he's gotten back to the old form that he had a few years back. Which Ball's player have you been impressed by the most so far this season?
Well, I think Liam Burt has been good throughout the whole season, even when Bowes aren't picking up results. I think he's been really, really good actually. I like his style. He kind of cuts inside. He can take a long shot, which is great. It's nice to have a player who can score from distance because you know yourself can be difficult breaking teams down. But I just think over the last 2 weeks, having watched Bowes, I think I was kind of saying starting the season will take a while for them to find their formula with all the new players they have. I think in the last few weeks they've found their formula in certain positions. Midfield for sure. I think Tierney, Devoy and Buckley is a midfield that's working really well together, and I think the balance is really good in there as well. Obviously Buckley does the sit and starts off attacks. Devoy is very good on the ball, incisive, you know what I mean? He can pick out a pass. Tierney links up very well, gets beyond Kelly an awful lot and is very good in terms of leading the press, and he gets around the pitch. Like he's a big lad as well, but he gets around the pitch, gets tackles in and stuff. I think that balance has worked well with Koosh outright and Burt on the left, to be honest. And I think Bowes, I was confident Pats would beat Bowes when they beat them earlier on in the season. But I think Bowes are the slightly better place, and Pats are probably not on the table necessarily at the moment, but Pats are slightly worse form going into this game, if you get me, compared to Bowles. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's also an opportunity for Bowles if they can win Lenny to go 4 points behind Pats, which
Yeah.
would really get them right back in that European mix, which I never thought they were out of personally. but it really would be a statement, I think, if they did win it, you know.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks we played very well in the
Mm.
games against Finn Harps and against Longford. Like the Finn Harps game was
Mm.
something I really wasn't expecting. Like I wasn't expecting to win that game so comfortably, and be 3-0 up at half time. But yeah, we played well that game. Longford as well. We done well. We got the goals at important times. When we went 1-0 up with Liam Bird's great goal, the game's kind of ticking on a bit, and you're thinking, if we concede like a free kick or something, now in our defence this season, we could just make a complete hash of something, and then it's like on to win the game. But I think it was good. It was important to get the second goal. But yeah, I think the form, obviously, we're on better form at the moment. Pat's lost last two, but what do you think of that draw of the game on Friday?
I was very disappointed in Pats, I have to say. Like, Drogheda were excellent. I'll give them credit, and like they're a really good side. They really are a good side. But I thought they were up for the battle. I didn't think Pats, unfortunately, were up for the battle, which disappointed me because this season so far you wouldn't have you wouldn't have gone against them in games like that and battles. But I just thought they just weren't at it at all. I know they got back into the game, to be fair, but you're two down at half time, like, and did a lot of the ball, but in fairness, Drogheda let them have a lot of the ball. Pats were very slow. There wasn't much movement up front. I thought they were losing nearly every 50-50. I just thought it's wrong to say they weren't up for it, but they weren't on the level of Drogheda's desire and work rate, let's say, and effort and that. And we've seen in this league, if you're not on it, like you've seen it with Bowes as well. If you're not on it, you're beaten. Anyone's beaten you in this league, and that's not to take away from Drogheda because they're certainly not one of the weakest teams in the league. But anyone can beat you in this league if you're not on it. So they'll certainly have to be on it against Bohemians. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think the thing I've noticed with the two promoted clubs, Longford and Drogheda, is that they're putting up a real fight. Like, the clubs that have been promoted over the years haven't really, like, if you look at UCD back in 2019, they were far from competitive. Like, as soon as they went one down, two down, they just weren't bothered anymore. They just wanted to get off the pitch, basically. Yeah, like we learned that against Drogheda when we conceded the last minute equaliser. They kept going, and even Longford on Saturday when they were 2-0 down in the 80 whatever closing minutes, they still were at it. Like, and that's something that we'll have to do against Pats. We have to be on it, otherwise, Pats will easily punish us with the players that they've got.
Yeah, if one of the teams are off it, they're losing straight away.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Both teams really do have to be on the game. If they are on their game, it's going to be a good game, I think, because the midfield battle will be good as well. Like, I'm hoping from a Pat's perspective that Benson is back because he does add that bit of bite. Like, Tierney gives Bowes that bit of bite, I think, as an example. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Tierney has done really well so far this season. Like, I was wondering during the off season now, he was injured for most of last season.
Yeah.
Over the off season, we brought in Ali Koo and Bashir, and I was like, he could find himself kind of struggling to get into the side a little bit. But that's been the complete opposite. He's probably been arguably one of our best players so far this season. He works really hard. He gets around the pitch, links up really well with Georgie Kelly. One thing I noticed that Pat's done to us in the game earlier on in the season, that they pressed us really well. Like the press was good, and kind of struggled with that. Do you think it could be a similar approach from Pat's?
Well, Pats probably should play like that. They were kind of on and off that kind of style of play against Drogheda, but you're just a bit worried, I suppose, in terms of, as I said, it's a small squad, so you're kind of getting players every week to try and do the same thing. Like, Dara Burns came in and done well, but he's on crutches. He's out for a month. He got 2 goals, I think, in 6 games maybe, yeah. So you're going with Matty Smith and King, and they kind of have to play every week now. And Coughlin, it's good in a way, but it also means that players get tired. There's matches on Monday as well, remember, for both sides as well. But there's no way either side can rest players for this game on Friday. That's for sure. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure Bowes might have to mix it up on the Monday. Pats will have to mix it up on the Monday. But I think it's going to be a real battle. It is going to be tight no matter what, though. I really do think it's going to be tight. They usually are tight games, bar the odd result here and there anyway as well. Like,
yeah, I think most of the games this season have been quite tight. I haven't really seen many games where teams have kind of ran away with it. But I think the fact that we've got a bigger squad, more options, could play in our favour a little bit. As you mentioned, there's games on the Monday. We can switch it around a little bit. The thing is, I think Georgie Kelly, he's been that kind of target man up front. He's worked hard, he's battled hard, and I believe I think he started like every game this season so far.
Mm.
There's no one there to kind of come in for him because Bradley Rod's loan from Peterborough ended. I don't know why that. Yeah, maybe he got an injury or something, or he just Keelan didn't fancy him, so he was sent back, or Peterborough just saying that he wasn't playing and so to recall him. But yeah, but that could be something. Kelly, he, he hasn't really clicked so far. The goals he scored, two of them went from he scored three goals.
Penalties, isn't it? One from
Two,
play, isn't that right?
two of them were from penalties. One was
Mm.
actually a good finish earlier on in the season against Longford, the game where he threw
Yeah.
it up. So I think I worry that he could be a bit tired, and there's no one really there to kind of come in for him. But we had Thomas Lua, and he's not been on the bench for the past couple of games. I don't know whether there's an injury involved. Like there's no mention of an injury. Uh, but I don't know.
You've
What
promised as well, but he's more of a winger in fairness as well. He's a big unit, by the way. He's huge. But he's more of a winger. Yeah, that's an issue. Like, I suppose there's no plan B. But Kelly, the only thing what Kelly does is, even if he's not doing great, he does add a bit of confusion there, and balls can even bounce off him. Burt and Coote are fairly good at linking and getting in to the positions to maybe pick up the pieces. And Tierney's done that a few times this season already as well. So they're kind of using Kelly in that way. He's not going to score many goals, but they're trying to get the best out of the rest of the team with him, if you get me. But you're right, they don't have an alternative up front. I mean, if Kelly was to get injured, I'm not sure what the plan would be. I mean, Burt potentially could play up front. It'd be a different style of player, and you'd have to change your game a little bit. But I think Burt has the capabilities of maybe getting in behind, but it depends on the game, as I said. But Kelly, in fairness, though, he doesn't really pick up many injuries, though, so maybe that's a good thing,
Yeah, definitely. Like he struggled at Pats last year.
Mm.
It was kind of a different style of play. We think our team, the way we kind of played, is kind of built around Kelly in a way.
Mm.
We try to get him involved as much as we can, and I
There
think
is a tendency, I'll jump in there quickly, because there is a tendency, I notice that with Pats as well, and Bowles do it sometimes as well, to, if there's no, you know what I mean, it's just to hoof it long to Kelly occasionally and hope something comes off it. Pats were doing that as well, and that wouldn't be really Pats' game. It's an individual in people's heads mentally sometimes, and occasionally Bowles do that as well, like I think, when really that's not what Long wants to do, if you get me. But it's just when you have a big man up front, sometimes it's just, do you know what, hoof it up to him, he might hold it up. That can be sometimes a problem as well, and sometimes Kelly can struggle then to actually hold it up, you know what I mean? He's not the most mobile, is he, to be honest?
no, like, and I think Keith Long mentioned I think he was interviewed after the Longford game, and he said that they're trying to kind of block out the criticism of Kelly in a way. They just try and get the best out of him. But I think I'd imagine I'd be hoping that Keith Long is potentially going to be looking at bringing in a striker in the summer. Yeah, whether it's probably just someone to keep Georgie Kelly on his toes, basically,
Mm.
someone who's going to be there to kind of, if he is to be injured or whatever, can come in and do a job. I know Aliwa can do that, but I don't know, he hasn't been anywhere near the squad lately for whatever reason. But
I think it's well with Kelly as well, in fairness to him, it's not his fault that Bows have looked dodgy defensively for a lot of the season as well. I think that issue defensively isn't necessarily the defence. I think it's a whole team thing. There's so many new players and different players in there, and he's been trying Keith Ward in there. He was outright in a few games, which I thought was a little bit. It doesn't really suit Keith Ward, let's be honest. Chopping and changing a little bit, and I think when that happens, you generally are a bit all over the place organization wise. So that means that, your defense might look bad, but really it's the team's defending more so than anything else. I know they've struggled from set pieces as well, which will disappoint them because Cornwall's pretty decent from set pieces and that. I would have liked to see Kelly, if I'm honest, get a few more games, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I would have liked to see him play with Cornwall, particularly when they weren't defending well anyway. So why not give Kelly a couple of running games? Like, their fullbacks are excellent. I think they've the best squad of fullbacks in the whole league. The four of them, they're really good players, and that's great as the season goes on because you can really rotate them and keep them fresh. You know what I mean? It nearly doesn't make a difference which four play.
yeah,
To be honest, they're that good. Like,
for sure. Like, they're four of them are great fullbacks. Like, Feely came in. last couple of games. He's done really well, particularly in that Harps game. I thought he was excellent.
He can potentially go centre back as well, incidentally, by the way. He's
Yeah,
played
yeah,
there, so yeah.
yeah. And as you mentioned, Kieran Kelly is really solid. Like, and I think I think most of if you look back at the start of the season, most of the goals we conceded were from mistakes most of the time. Like
Mm.
in the Finn Harps game, opening game of the season, it was a very bad back pass from Finnerty from trying to get it back to Talbot, and Foley just latched onto it. The two goals against Longford were just balls that we lost on the edge of the box, and they just capitalised on it. Yeah, the Pats game, yeah, just bad marking from a corner.
Corner, yeah. And
Yeah,
the draw of the game, I think, as well, was a corner as
yeah.
well, as far
And
as I remember, wasn't it?
the
Yeah.
two goals against Derry were
Mm.
bad marking from set pieces. So yeah, it's I think it's something we have to improve on. I think we've
Mm.
looked better in recent weeks. I know we haven't really been troubled in those games against Finn Harps and Longford, but I think it's something that we're going to have to improve on, especially in this game against St Pats, who've got a lot more quality in those sides. Let's be
Mm.
honest.
Yeah.
So what kind of team are you expecting to see from Pats?
It depends on it. Like Stephen O'Donnell likes to play three at the back, but he also likes to play four at the back. The issue when he plays three at the back is the Pats only have three centre backs. They've got Desmond, Barrett, and Bone. Like that's the problem. Like I always said that at the start of the season. Like so, if one of them are missing, he has to play four at the back. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last game. Did he play three at the back the last time he played Bowes? I think he did. Yeah. I think Mountney as well is a better wing back than he is actual full back. I think Griffin has more legs than Birmingham, so I'd like to see Griffin in there ahead of Birmingham, if I'm honest. We'll take it. He goes three at the back. Forrester, Lennon, and I hope Benson's there. If not, it'll be Ollie Lewis, I'd say. And Coughlin, Smith, and King will be the front three because they're missing Burns as well. Um, Another thing Pat's tend to do as well, they kind of move them around, King, Smith, and Coughlin, which I understand at times, but I generally like to see Coughlin through the middle for most of the match, because I think when you go wide and you put, say, Smith up front, it does take something away from the build-up play and the hold-up play. Coughlin's very good at getting little flicks around the corner. He's not going to score loads of goals for you, but he's very good. He's a clever player. And I just think they kind of switch them around too much in games. I can understand it sometimes, but there was a game recently there where they must have switched them about 5 times in about 20 minutes, and I just think that's too much. That's overkill. But I think, yeah, I'd say that's likely going to be the team, unless he goes with a back four in which Barrett won't play. And I'm trying to think of the options because they do have a few injuries as well. I doubt if he'll bring McCormick in. He might come on as a sub or something. He's a good young player, but can't see him starting. I don't think he'll be too far off that team. Obviously, Yaris goal goes without saying, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a strong squad. Like probably one of the strongest you've had in a while.
Yeah.
It's I remember playing these over the years, and it just wasn't really clicking. Like the game in Dalymount where he beat you 3-0. I think it was one of Harry Kane's last game, and yeah, it was just very poor from Pats.
I think there was a softness in the last few years to their play, Lenny. Just, I'm still not convinced that's gone necessarily because, as I said, they lost the Rovers first game, and then there was a little bit of that shown, in my opinion, against Drogheda, but we'll see as the season goes on. A bit of softness that maybe Bowes haven't had under long in the last few years. I think that's been Pat's biggest issue, if I'm honest with you. Nice footballers, but when you have to dig, can you dig? They didn't do it against Drogheda, but I'm not going to say, what I mean, they're bottlers or anything like that based on one game either. But at the end of the season, we'll see if that aspect is improved in the Pat squad. I think Bowes, Keith Long over the years has done a good job at Bowes of actually getting a mentality shift, if you know what I mean, into their squad. And that takes time as well, to be fair. Into any club, if you're stuck in a rut for a few years, let's say, and Pats have been stuck in a rut for a few years, let's be honest. They're flattered to deceive,
Yeah, particularly in the kind of early years we had Keith Long. Like the footballers we had weren't great technically, but they all been deep, and were hard to break down. And but I think over the years that's gotten better. We've gotten more players who are maybe a bit lightweight in terms of like the other teams in the league. If you've seen the Finn Harps game, it's like they're all about, a couple of like feet taller.
I'll be honest, Lenny. I went to see Finn Harps this season. I've seen them close up against Drogheda, and they're just huge. They're just on another level of big. You know what I mean? They really are. Like compared to any team, I would suggest they're huge. So they'll
Yeah.
make any team look small. But they've a lot of gutsy players. Like Keith Buckley there, for example. Is the the poster boy of that. I think, you know, he's been there in the team for a few years, and I think he brings all that to the table to Bowles. Gutsy player. He's not a big physical guy, but he's a gutsy, hard work and great mentality, you know.
Yeah, we've got players who put in a tackle and do all that. Like it's just some of the players we have are probably a bit. If you look at Wilson and Burr, all them players, they're quite small, but they're very technically good players. Finally, what's your prediction?
Um, I can't say Bowles because I just can't say Bowles. But I'll be honest, I don't think Pats are going to win it either. So I'm probably going to have to sit in the fence here. I'm going to go 1-1. It's funny. I thought earlier on in the season I couldn't see Pats losing it. I thought to myself before the game, but now I'm kind of shifted. I don't think Bowles will lose this game. But I won't be too displeased with a draw as a Pats fan. Every game has its own merits, so you don't really know. But I can see a very tight, tense affair. I'm going for a draw, I think, Lenny, here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree, to be honest. I think it's probably going to be a tight game. I'd take a draw, like, it wouldn't be the worst result. Obviously, it'd be brilliant to win, but I think.
Unless you can see it in the last minute, then you don't take a draw, as I say. Merit and all that, like, but yeah.
There's nothing worse. Yeah, you've had it there a couple of weeks ago against. But yeah, I think it'd be brilliant if you could win it because I think it'd be up there with one of our biggest wins of the season if you could get it because we haven't really had many wins this season. But
I think you're right. I think it'd be a big statement because they're after winning 2 in a row. If they could beat Pats and real Pats in, so to speak, people saying Pats having a good season. Fair enough, they have had to generally to date. Let's be honest, Bows have had a bad season, but suddenly then Bows are 4 points behind. That's why you need to keep your feet in the ground, and it's so difficult. It's so long this season that things can change very, very quickly, and I just think from that point of view, you know what I mean? It's, it could be a statement if Bows were to win. Of course, if they lose it, that's another point. They'd go, 10 points behind Pats then, which is a big thing as well. But I just see a draw myself now, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think it's important we get something from the game to kind of keep our hopes of getting into Europe alive. I think it'd be so typical of Bowles for us to get into Europe this season and then not get next season when we can finally go to get the games again, and not go to Europe and see us abroad and all. But yeah, it's just so typical. Like looking back and we used to chant, "Oh, we're going abroad now." We just never go in the end. But
who would have thought? To be fair.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully we're back soon. But yeah, I think need to get something from the game. It's important, coming into a new round of games. Now we're kind of looking to kind of make amends for the first round of games because it wasn't pretty whatsoever. So, cheers for coming on, Keith.
No bother, man. No bother.
So yeah, that's where we'll end it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment down below what you're thinking heading into the game, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.